week 6 of the fantasy football season. And here's a few defense DST units I look to get on the wire this week. The first one, the New England Patriots. So the Pats here, they shut out that high-powered Detroit line offense with a monster fantasy game. And the Pats, they're starting to get things going now over the last few weeks here. They're available in still tons of fantasy leagues at 59%. So the last few games for this Pat defense, week 3 versus Baltimore, 37 points allowed, 4 sacks, and interception, fumble recovery. Week 4 at Green Bay, 27 points allowed, a sack, and into, fumble recovery, touchdown. And week 5 versus Detroit, they blew the doors off with a shutout, 2 sacks, and into, a fumble recovery, touchdown in that game. So week 6 here, Cleveland, I think they could get to old friend Jacoby Brissett a few times, cause a few turnovers on him, even though, to be honest, he's been playing some pretty solid football this season here as Brissett. But I think this New England defense can make plays on him, and they're available, like I said, at 59% of fantasy leagues. The next defense is the Indianapolis Colts as a 1 week type of thing here for the Colts. Here, I recommend them. Available right now in 67% of leagues. So the Colts, the last couple weeks here, they've been improving, no doubt about it, though, in terms of holding teams down to points and making plays. Week 4 versus Tennessee, 24 points allowed, 3 sacks. And then in one of the sloppiest and worst Thursday night football games you might ever see, their defense came out and played, though. 9 points allowed, 4 sacks, 2 windows, and a block kick. So right here, week 6 versus Jacksonville, you know what? They want redemption. They got this ball game circled on the calendar after getting shut out 24-0. And if Leonard could come back off his concussion, obviously you add one of the best defensive players in the league here back to your lineup, which could pay big dividends for Indianapolis. And I think they got confidence as well, beating Denver the way they did on Thursday Night Football in week 5. The next defense is the Cleveland Browns. So right here, this could be a defensive matchup and an offensive struggle for both teams week 6. So right now, this ball game's in the dog pound. And this Brown defense, yeah, they haven't been good this whole season pretty much here. But week 6, as a team, I would consider, because Zappy might be quarterback. And even if Mac Jones comes back, I can't trust him to do much in this game. So this could be a low-scoring, ugly type of ball game as well between Cleveland and the Patriots here. So right now, available in tons of fantasy leagues is this Cleveland DST unit in 85% of leagues. And I would give them a shot as a 1 week matchup play this week. The next defense is another 1 week matchup type add on the wire is the Washington Commanders. So the Commanders, we know they stink and have one of the worst defenses in all the league here, especially missing Chase Young rushing the passes. The last couple weeks for the Commanders, week 4 at Dallas, 25 points allowed, a sack, a block kick. And week 6 versus the Titans, 21 points allowed, but 5 sacks, getting to Tannehill a decent amount. So right here, week 6 at the Bears, Thursday Night Football could be a sloppy ball game, could be a low-scoring game. And this Bear offense isn't that great either. They give up the 6th most fantasy points to defenses on the seasons, this offense. So right here, as a deep league ad or desperate for a defense, the Washington Commanders are defense out there in 97% of fantasy leagues. And the 5th and final defense I look to get on the wire this week is the Cincinnati Bengals. So the Bengals, they played a tough lost ball game in week 5 versus Baltimore in Baltimore, but their defense, I believe, played pretty decent and at least limited Lamar Jackson. You're not totally going to shut him out, but compared to what Lamar's done to other teams this season, I think the Bengals had a decent game plan until, late in regulation, they drive down on the last drive is this Baltimore team, and they beat Cincinnati. But right now, with a great matchup week 6 in New Orleans, I think Andy Dalton or Winston, either one of them a quarterback that can make plays, is this Cincinnati defense. We saw it a few weeks ago versus a weak New York Jet offense at the time. 12 points allowed, 4 sacks, 2 windows, 2 fumble recoveries. So right now, New Orleans will have Dalton or Winston out there, obviously, and Taysom Hill as the gadget guy once again this week here. But right now, I think this defense could step up once again in Cincinnati. And it's go time for them now on the season here, 2-3. They don't want to fall far behind. And this same team does give up the 3rd most fantasy points to defenses on the season. So that's a few defense DST units I look to hit on the waiver wire here for week 6 of the fantasy football season.